What's up, guys? We're going to be talking about Slapz audio tonight, and we have got a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about all the new versions and the new products that are going to be coming out, and there's more that I still ain't found out about, but for the most part, man, the list goes crazy. So let's get this party started, baby.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip, and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning, and this is just the beginning. I need a big change, help me feel like living. I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all. And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? I guess I'll try this, try that, might miss, gotta find what I'm good at. I guess I look here, look there, over where am I scared, where am I at? I gotta make it in this life, whatever makes me happy, know I'm doing things right. Sipping in the summer on a goose and Sprite, or find a nightclub for the end of the night, And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it, how you gonna move for it, what you gonna be, and do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Guys, watch him. He's gonna bail. He just can't take the slaps. Check this one out. That's what we're talking about tonight, baby. Look at that subwoofer horn, y'all. Yeah, baby. What's up, guys? What's up? I've been seeing a lot of questions already popping up in the chat, and I'm going to do my best to get through all of those, plus a whole lot more information that you guys haven't asked about yet. And I did get a question that I caught. Okay, yes. So let's see here. Um, I got I've got Alan in chat over here, off to the side. Just grabbed him up, and I asked him about 18s. And yes, there are going to be 18s listed. I know there's 18s on the site, and let me look here. I don't like speaking until I know for sure. I don't like talking about stuff that I don't know. So I like to check. Right now we have the SmackDown 18s at 3,500 watts. Yes. And the Oblivions top out at 15s. But um, I don't know. Oh man, he's got so much cool stuff in the background right here. Let me ask him real quick. I want to find out if that's an Oblivion or SmackDown. So let's get over here and check out what's going on in the chat window. I'm going to try to answer some of the questions that you guys are hitting me with. Um, uh, Let me get back to the beginning here. All right. So Tide Dog says, do they make 18s? All right. So no, the Oblivions we're going to top out at 15s, but there is a version 2 of the SmackDowns in 18s, and so yes, we're going to get those. There's other stuff coming as well. So by the end of next week, we should have the Oblivions, not the Oblivions, the SmackDowns are going to be up. Um, the SmackDowns are going to be up for sale, the version 2s. And then a week later, we're going to get the Oblivion version 2s up on the site. And the version 1s are going to go on sale. So if you guys are trying to pick up something on a budget, there's a lot of the Oblivions, and there's quite a few of the SmackDowns that are still left, the version 1s, and they're going to be reduced. We'll get into some of those prices. I'm going to give you ballpark numbers because I don't know the exact prices. I do know the ballpark numbers, though. Let's see here. So, do they make 18s? I answered that question to the best of my ability. Joe Berserker says, yeah. Slapz, solid. You better believe it, man. I've been punishing the crap out of mine. I've never had a single issue. Okay. Tide Dog said, would it perform well in a 7.0 Gately enclosure tuned at 36 hertz? Okay. Well, we don't know exactly which 15 or 18 or whatever, but I'm gonna go over here and have a look. I think the 15s are rated for like a 4 cubic foot on the outside. Well, that's for the Oblivions. Let's look at the 18 SmackDowns, the version 1s, which are currently out of stock, but the version 2s are going to be pretty similar in their requirements. They are set up for 5.3 to 5.7 cubic feet. So I kind of figured that was going to be a little bit too big. And what happens when you have an enclosure that's larger than what the subwoofer wants is you're going to have control issues, kind of like playing in an infinite baffle. So if you bring the power down, you'll be fine, but don't expect them to handle 3,500 watts in a box that's 50% too big, essentially. So that would not be a good fit, but you can make it work as long as you reduce the power that you're putting on them. Keep an eye out. Don't let them bottom out. That'll destroy a cone real quick or a coil. Joe Berserker says, go to Slapz Audio. Great site. Great stuff. Decent prices. Yes, sir. Let's see here. Yeah, 7's too big, man. Tyler said, what's up, brother? Joe Berserker. Yep. The 18s are a little bit bigger, but not anywhere close to that. Let's see here. Joe said, I just talked to him today. Be banging in the lanes soon, hopefully. Yeah, man, no doubt. Brandon popped in. Trunked under Lithium, man. That's the man right there. So you guys want to talk about Trunked under Lithium? This is the guy you want to ask questions to, as long as he's in chat. Rob Richards said, I made it to the live. What's up, man? So let's look at some of the details. I'm going to tell you guys about some of the things I know are going to be happening. Um, First of all, we're looking at the new Oblivions. Are going to have a 12 and a 15, um, and the version twos, and they're both going to share a 300 ounce magnet and the same voice coil, the same motor all the way around with just different size cones. 30 millimeters of X-Max one way, so that's 60 millimeters of total back and forth movement. Um, and Alan says we're looking at 2,000 watts RMS conservatively. So we're going to be able to handle 2,000 watts RMS without any issues. Um, Now, the SmackDowns are going to release, as he said, the end of next week. The end of the week next week. The Oblivions for another week after that. Um, and the version ones, of course, on all of these are going to be on sale. They're going to be priced real well too, guys. And the discount code still applies. So keep an eye out on the Slapz website. And when you see these things go on sale, just remember that the discount code gives you an additional 10% off of that. It does stack. And we're adding the SmackDowns. Yep, SmackDown 12. I'm going to show you guys some pictures here in a second, some more pictures. Um, oh, yeah. And like I said, the Oblivions are getting on sale as well as the SmackDowns. And I know that the SmackDown 15s are going to be like, after you apply my code, they're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 a piece. And those are some big boy subs. So there's that. Let's see here. Red Pill says, hey, Gary, what's up? What website do you use that consolidates upcoming SPL and SQ car audio shows? Midwest SPL and Base Wars both have sites. I have one with links to both of those if you want to go there. And it's caraudioenthusiasts.com. Down toward the bottom, I have some links to the different places. I mean, there's probably others, but I do have that. I need to do more maintenance on that site, but those links are good. So if you're looking for that stuff, you'll be able to find it there. Um, the version one, okay, it's a good question. What's the difference between the V1s and the V2s? Well, there are a lot of small differences. Uh, Minor changes and little things that were changed to improve overall performance. Some of the bigger changes that I know about off the top of my head is the larger motor. So they're getting a larger motor across the board. They're getting a higher roll surround, a little bit different spider, so they're going to have a little bit more actual travel. Um, I think they're actually going to be traveling at like 31 or something like that millimeters instead of 30, but it's still listed as 30. So they're going to have a little bit more flex, more motor force, larger motor, and a couple of other minor changes, but not a lot. The TS parameters are going to be real similar. They're going to change because of the extra motor force, the extra BL, but uh, the changes are all good, and the subwoofer is not going to be significantly more expensive either. So it's a good deal. It's still a good deal. Uh, let's see here. Okay, so let's pull up. I'm going to show you guys once I get my brain. Uh, Once I get my brain to working, let's switch to this view real quick, and I want to try to find my folder. So, because I really suck at some of this stuff, man. I figured out what happened last show when everything kind of went, and I couldn't get shit to work anymore. I figured out what that was. So I've sorted that. Now let's get this over here. Don't you go over there. You go over here. Okay. We'll do this. All right. I think this will work. Yeah, that's going to work. Now we'll just go to this screen. Replace with the window. There we go. All right. Sorry, I didn't. For some reason, when I try to do that, I lose sound. I don't know, some weird setting. But you guys got to look at the different subs. I got lots of pictures. If you guys have any questions about those, like I said, we're here going to try to answer questions tonight. Um, and we're going to be talking a little bit about. Oh man, I'm good. I'm good, dude. Uh, Brenda said I'll be in and out, eating dinner and answering emails like you got a job or something. Oh man, you guys, if you ever want real entertainment, just look up Brandon on Facebook. Uh, just reading the stuff he posts is hilarious. Guy's a trip. I love him. Great guy. Um, so if you guys have any questions about the Slapz gear that's coming out, I got more information. I'm going to tell you a few more things. There is a budget line that's going to be coming, and it's going to be using the existing. Uh, Let me go back here. I want to make sure I'm speaking on things I know. Um, it's going to be using the existing motors from the 10-inch, the current version 1 Oblivion 10s. So let me pull that up. So they're going to be a 1500 watt RMS, I believe a 10, 12, and a 15 at 1500 watts RMS with I'm trying to look. Push terminals, all of that stuff. All of the stuff that's currently on there. So they're going to be a lot less expensive and rated at 1500 watts RMS. And I'm not sure about the details on them yet, but they're going to be significantly reduced in price. So basically, what's happened is if you look at the Oblivion line, they're kind of splitting the Oblivion line and putting a higher end version of the Oblivion line and then a lower end version. So you can get the 1500 watt, less expensive, really budget friendly sub, which would be great for building crazy walls where you're putting a whole bunch of subs in. And then significantly upgraded Oblivion version 2s. And then, of course, the SmackDowns as well. And the details on that are a bit fuzzy at the moment, but that gives you a general idea. If Fuego's in the house, hello from the Pacific Northwest, my friend. What's up? So we're going to talk a little bit about trunked under lithium. And let me go over here and pull this up. So I want to get my information correct. Bear with me a little bit. You guys if you have any questions, go ahead and get those in the chat while I'm looking up information. And then I'll let you know. So, okay, cool. All right. So one of the things I want to talk about with trunked under lithium is right now, a lot of stuff is out of stock again. And it's because you guys are buying everything. That's what's happening, which is a great thing because everybody's getting good stuff, and trunked under lithium is doing well. Those are good things. The bad thing is, well, we're out of stock for a moment. So if you order, and right now, if you order any of the 10K stuff from trunked under lithium, be known that there is a wait right now. He's got more stuff coming, but there is a wait on that. If you order stuff and they'll tell you, you're going to be waiting, it's not going to happen right now. It may be a few weeks or whatever. I don't know, but there is going to be a waiting period before you get your stuff. Now, on the plus side to that is he's talking about a bit of a discount on the price. So you're going to get it at a lower price. And if you use my discount code, it still stacks on top of what he's going to give you. So he's going to give you a lower price. Plus, if you use CAE10, you're going to get an even lower price. So you're going to be first in line for the stuff when it comes in, and you'll get your stuff, and you're going to get it at a reduced rate. So it gives you a really good deal. But like I said, be warned, it's not going to be right now. It'll be whenever it takes. Okay. So there is going to be a waiting period. We don't want to do any orders. And then when you go, oh, well, I changed my mind and back out of the order. Okay. That's going to cost you because it cost him. The process, it cost him. So it's going to cost to do that. So if you decide to order and then you back out, be ready to have to pay, $20 or $30. Basically what they would call a restocking fee or something. I don't know, but it may come to you. Don't back out. If you don't want to wait, don't order right now. Okay. Now the 5Ks, he may still have some of those and you'll have to ask. I'm not sure about those. But I'm trying to get you guys straightened out so that you're aware of what's happening before you, invest. Okay. Let's see here. Fuego says trunked under lithium, Slapz audio. Yep. I'm ecstatic, guys. Got a show tomorrow. I think it's the last GP car audio show of the year, and we're looking forward to that. We're going to get out there and give demos. If you guys are in the Springfield, Missouri area, it's going to be at the Barn House in Springfield, Missouri. Just Google barn house. You'll see it. Um, Factoring in cost will be cheaper. Yeah. I just want to make sure that you guys understood about what's going on at Trunk Thunder Lithium right now. You're gonna save money by ordering by pre-ordering. You're also going to get a guarantee that you're going to get some when the next load comes. Um, but there is a waiting period, so it's not going to be instant. Now he may tell you what time. He may give you a time if you message him. He may give you a date, a date ish. But the way the world's working right now, it's rough. Ah, okay. So Brandon said he's wiped out on the Banger series right now, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. So right now, there's not any of the bangers, which means the little banger, the 5K or the 10K version twos. There's not any of those available right now. Of course, he would take an order on custom banks. You guys, he also builds custom batteries in different with the trunk under lithium bars. You can do custom bars. So if you want something to say Bob's car audio, we could do that shit. Um, Casing, the whole thing, something really basic or something really, really pretty and elaborate. All that can happen. So if you're looking for a really sweet, sexy custom beast of a bank, you can do that too. Let's see here. Tyler, what's up, man? Everyone should come out and get loud or enjoy the show. Either way, it's always a good time. You better believe it, dude. It's all about people for me. I love hanging out with my friends and my people and people that are interested in the same stuff I am. I love introducing people to car audio in this crazy world that we live in that haven't been exposed to the insanity that we you know get out there and get involved with on a constant basis. So bringing new people in, bringing the young people in, bringing old people back in, all that stuff is just it makes my week, it makes my month, it makes my year. I absolutely love it. Uh, okay, let's see what's going on here. Let's check it out, guys. See, I'll read up. As a business, well, Brandon says, here's the issue of refunds. As a business, we pay processing fees to use the companies that make the payments. Got you. It happens securely for both parties. The trade off is when a refund happens, I eat those fees. For the longest, I had no issue. Uh, Basically, whenever he's processing the payment from your credit card or your bank, it costs money to process that. And if you take it a refund back, he still has to pay that processing fee. That's a loss. Um, I'm a small guy. I'm a one man band. Eating $30 over and over again hurts. I have to make money, and the company has to make money. And I hope everybody understands this. I I hope no one takes it wrong. Exactly. It's just me being transparent. I have to be competitive in the market, and I'm here. I'm not here to buy jets and foreign cars off everyone's back. Exactly. So y'all read up. This is why I deal with Trunk Thunder Lithium. This cat's in chat right now, telling you like it is. He's laying it on the freaking table. There's no bullshit. It's just right here. This is it. This is why, and it is solid reasoning. So if you order, understand that we don't want to do refunds because it costs money to do those refunds. Uh, let's see. Mickey Hatfield said, I'll be there tomorrow bringing my van. It's a work in progress. Dude, literally every single car audio build I've ever seen, ever, has been a work in progress. There's never an end. There's never, they don't end, man. El Fuego said, good things are worth waiting for. Exactly. Um, Waited for over a month for my 5K V2, no regrets. Exactly, man. You know, I'll tell you this about Trunk Thunder Lithium. Um, you're not going to regret buying the battery. Okay, it's just that simple. You may feel nervous about it in the beginning. So it's a lot of money, for a tiny thing. But once you get it and start using it, you will absolutely not regret buying it. A lot of things you will. You go out and spend some less money and some other thing, and you buy this thing that's supposed to do what you think it's going to do, right? And then you get it, and it's like, man, it's just not quite. It's just not. It feels cheap. It doesn't do the power it's supposed to. You're just not happy about your purchase. You buy something from Trunk Under Lithium, and that's not going to happen. You may be waiting for it for a little bit because he's so busy that he literally can't keep stuff in stock. Okay, but the point is, when you put it in your vehicle and hook it up, and your voltage locks in nice and stable, and you never even have to think about that anymore. Like, I don't even worry about my voltage. I don't even look at it unless I'm showing somebody where it's sitting at while we've been demoing for like 10 minutes solid, and it's still sitting there at 13.2 while I'm dropping the hammer on everything. That's the only time I look at it. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to worry about that. My voltage is going to be solid. And this is after a year of beating the crap out of this battery. So, yeah, I mean, good things are worth waiting for sometimes, and sometimes you have to go the extra mile to get them. But you're not going to regret making the purchase. That's what I'm trying to say. Uh, let's see here. Audio Connections, what's up? What's up, man? It's nice to see you guys. Uh, Work in progress. I'm just reading back through the comments. Anybody else got any questions? Any questions at all? We'll do our best to answer them. So, just a heads up, I'm going to be running 6 of the Oblivion 15s, version 2s, in my new build. So, we're doing a 6th order, and I'm going to need, because I'm going to be running 3 amplifiers. Now, my Trunk Under Lithium 10K version 2, it's a 10K. That's what it's rated at. Now, with a big alternator, which I've got, it's capable of handling, half again more power, 1,500 watt or 15,000 watts without an issue. But I'm going to be asking it to handle closer to 24,000 watts. So I'm going to be pushing that battery as hard as it can go. I'm going to be running the new version 2 10K, but just like you guys, I'm waiting on the next shipment to come in myself. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm going to be putting a lot of strain on that battery with 3 8,000 watt amplifiers and 1 370 amp alternator. Do I think it's going to hold up? Yeah, I do. I think it will. Even at 1 ohm per amp, I'm still going to be probably clamping at like, probably clamping at like 1,500 amps or 15 or 1,600 amps. After the box rise and everything, like 15,000 watts, 16,000 watts, about 5K per amp, and there's 3 amps. So I think it's going to be right on the edge, but I think it'll handle it. And I'm hoping Brandon does too. Brandon says, I appreciate the love and support. Again, I appreciate everyone's understanding. I try my best to offer the best product I can without wrecking someone's wallet. Brandon, what I like about the company is his philosophy on how a product should be done. If you look at the quality on the batteries and the way they're put together, the older ones were more of a simplified kind of a generic case. Brandon wasn't happy with that, so he's took away some of his profit and invested it in a better casing. And he's taken away some more profit and invested it in better bars to be able to deliver the current that we actually want. If you look at some of the other manufacturers that put these things together, they're using the bare minimum conductive material to be able to conduct the minimum amount of current to be okay. And as they get hot, the current that they're able to put out is going to go down because heat creates resistance, and resistance creates heat. They also use a very generic case, which has very thin walls, and anything comes along can punch right through them, and then you end up with problems. He's putting these things in a tank. Essentially, they're putting them in this heavy, thick plastic case, and they're using these thick, pure 100% copper bars to conduct power. So you're not going to have problems losing power through the hardware that you're connecting it with. And he's going so far beyond anybody else out there. If you look at the way they're built and the actual way the conductivity is happening, is so far beyond that. And that's the kind of shit I appreciate. And I appreciate honesty and straightforward and straight up people, you know. And so all of those things combined, you know, I don't want any battery made by anybody else, period. I would rather buy them from him. I know it's going to be a matched, well assembled, ridiculously tough and well tested piece of equipment when I get it. It's not being glued together in a factory where nobody even knows for sure what's happened. Like some robot goes zip, 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 and it runs down the line. And, you know, we hope it don't blow up. That's what I see with a lot of these big manufacturers. So let's see. Bobby B said, "Oh man, you're out. Have good luck with that dinner, bro. That's always good." Franco Quaid said, "You could still run your old battery with the new one, can't you?" That's a question that's an answer that has an asterisk. The answer with the asterisk is yes. If you, my rule is, if you drive it more or less daily, and you've got a pretty new AGM battery, you can get away with it. It's not the end of the world. What happens is you're going to have some, your trunked under lithium is going to rest slightly higher than your AGM. If it's a new AGM, a really good, you know, relatively new AGM, it's probably going to be resting at like 12.7. And the trunked under lithium is going to be resting at like 13.1 or 13.2. So it's going to try to pull that one down some. But if you're daily driving it, you're not going to see any real problems with that. And it's going to work no matter what. If you leave it sitting out there for 2 months, it's still going to start. It ain't going to die. But that long periods of sitting is rough on the lithium because it has to sit there and trickle charge the AGM to try to keep it up to that voltage. And although the voltage on the lithium doesn't drop very quickly, which is one of the reasons why it's so good for car audio, so even after it's lost a whole lot of power, it's still going to be holding a higher voltage than the AGM will. So it's still going to be trying to feed it, which is why you don't want to just, you know, let it sit for long periods of time. Now, having said that, you can always delete that battery, that AGM battery, just pull it out of the system. And if you're going to, even if you don't want to delete it, if you're going to let it sit for any length of time, just unhook one of them. So they're not fighting each other like that. And then you won't have any issues. But you can delete that AGM battery. Even the 5K will have no problem starting and running the vehicle. And it'll actually run. And overall, you'll have a better experience. You're going to have slightly higher resting voltage. And the voltage isn't going to dip as much. Then, of course, you have the option of running 2 electrical systems like I do. So you can split up. You can have 2 alternators, 2 batteries, 2 electrical systems. And you can have one doing one thing and one doing the other. And then they don't fight each other either. There's lots of ways to do this. But pretty much all of them are okay. The only one you really want to don't want to do is have it setting for extremely long periods of time with an AGM and lithium together with different resting voltages. That's the only thing. Other than that, you're good. Let's see here. Red Pill says, quit lying. You're going to run 6 of the slap team smackdowns. No. CAE unobtainium editions. Brother, I could. You want to know the truth, all right? The truth, no, I couldn't get unobtainium. I couldn't get unobtainium. That's a huge pain in the ass. That's some stuff that you do with a company that's millions of dollars, big millions of dollars company that has stuff like that. Because in order for me to get unobtainium, I would have to order stuff months ahead of time and have it built specifically for me. And then if I blew one, I would be screwed. But that's not the point. The point is, although I could run SmackDowns, I could run the Neos, I could run any of these. The reason I'm running the Oblivions is because I want to show everybody what you can do with a really basic down in the bottom level of what's offered. I want to show you what you can do with those subs because that's where most people are going to play, right? Most people can't drop $500-$600 for a subwoofer, so that's my point. So yeah, I am choosing to run a lesser sub than the top of the line sub. That's what I choose to do. But they will be 100% exactly the same sub that you buy. No difference. Let's see here. We'll throw that up there. That was Red Pill's statement. So Brandon said, I'll never have anything lithium built in China. That day will never come. I don't care if I have to train some young lady who's a fresh slate brain to take on building. I can't stand the QC in China when it comes to building lithium batteries. There you go. The man himself. Joe Berserker said, if you don't drive lithium daily, get a solar man. You can let lithium sit for as long as you want. As long as it's not also trying to charge an AGM battery. If it's just sitting, it's fine, man. It's totally fine. But having a solar charger or a battery tender on your shit, if you're going to let it sit, that's a no-brainer. Put, a 1 amp charger on it. I have a little 1 amp charger that I hook up, and the reason I do it is because my tablet, which is what I use for a head unit, I keep it on all the time so it can do updates and all that over the internet here at the house. And I can also jump out there and email myself music and stuff. I just leave it on all the time. And so it's always trying to charge. And so it has a little bit of a drain. To offset that, I have a 1 amp charger on the battery, which says on there all the time. If I'm at home, I hook it up and I leave it on there. And it just gives it that little trickle of power. Let's see here. Talking about the 5K. Let's see, version 1 or the 10K version 2. Let me go back and see. Okay, you can still run the old battery with the new one. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can run the 10K version 2 with the 10K version 1. The resting voltages are going to be almost exactly the same. So, yeah, I can do that. I don't know if I'm going to or not, though. So it's kind of a, yeah, Brandon addressed that. Put the biggest last. Yeah, that makes sense because electricity does favor what's closest. So if you've got like 4 batteries in a row in a circuit, right, linked up, and you got your amp down here, and then you got battery 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then you got your alternator down here, and they're all hooked up on the same circuit, so it's just pulls power from everything, right? You're going to pull probably 50% or more of your power from that first battery. If you can check the voltage of each individual one separately, you'll see it. It's gonna pull the vast majority of its power from that, and then that battery is going to pull charge from the other batteries to fill it back up, and then the alternator is going to fill up the first battery more, number one, and then it's going to all affect. You're going to pull power from everything, but you're going to pull more power from the thing that's electrically closest to the load. So yes, putting your biggest battery close to the amplifier is going to be the advantageous thing to do. Uh, Brandon says you compare two models together, no problem. Exactly. It's all about resting voltage. You can put AGM with lithium together, no problem too, as long as the voltages are the same. It'll still work. It's mainly about where voltage they rest at. When you charge them up and let them sit, where the voltages fall. If they're the same voltage, then it's no problem. Um, but the thing about AGM batteries and lead acid in general, as well as nickel cadmium and the original lithium. Was it called? Can't remember the name of it, but it was the one after the NiCad batteries. Anyway, most of those old batteries, as the energy that's stored in the battery, as it drops, the voltage drops with it. So it's kind of like this. It's a nice slope down. So by looking at the voltage, you can tell how much energy is left in the battery. Um, this is how small electric buggies and stuff. You get the little voltmeter. You can tell by how much voltage is left, how much energy stored is left. With lithium, modern lithium, it doesn't work that way. That's why electric cars have a computer that has to figure this shit out, because the voltage plateau is really flat for a long time. So it may be down 50% on power, but the voltage will still be high. And then toward the end, it just sort of drops real quick, which makes it hard for electric cars to figure out how much range it has left, because there's nothing for it to really read. The voltage is so stable, right? But at the same time, that's why it works really well for car audio, because even if you're consuming tons of the power in the storage, your voltage isn't going to dip, which means you can pull that power back in and your voltage stays the same, which keeps your amperage low. Whenever your voltage starts dropping, you have to pull more amperage to get the same wattage. So you don't want your voltage to drop, or else you're going to be pulling way more current through all your wires, including the ones in your amplifier. This will also cause the amplifier to start clipping, because once its voltage goes down going into the amplifier from where your gains are set, if you set your gains at 13 volts and the voltage drops down to 12, all right, your clip where you would have clipped before moves down. So now at top volume, where it normally would be safe, you'll be clipping. So by losing current or losing that voltage and losing power, you're going to cause your amplifier to get hot and also cause your subwoofers to heat up a lot more. So having a good, solid, reliable power station in your vehicle that can maintain your voltage and provide that power is going to benefit your entire system in more ways than you think. It's going to keep your subs from getting hot is easy. It's going to keep your amps from getting hot is easy. It's going to make your shit last longer. Pairing up things properly to get things done, it's a no-brainer, guys. All right, let's see here. Correct. Connect amps to it. That is, yeah. Yes. What's Brandon saying here? If you use the new 10K version 3, you'd have everything feed off the 10K. The 5K would play as extra reserve at that point. Yeah. So you would basically just have the 5K feeding into the 10K, and then you would have everything hooked up off of the 10K. So it's going to tap the 10K first. Let's see here. Kenneth Wayne Waldner gave demos today in my trunk turner Lithium 5K version 2. Never fails. Close up. Me closed up all but one door and moved hair today. Hell yeah, brother. Your first time that you're able to get some hair to move, y'all may think it would be easy, but trust me, it's not. It takes a lot of cone and a lot of power just to move hair, especially outside of the vehicle. Even inside, like when I got somebody sitting in the passenger seat, if they're sitting in the middle of the seat and all their hair is right close to their head, there's a dead space there. They're getting tons of sound, but they're not going to have a whole lot of air moving there because it's in its sweet spot. The funny thing is, you don't really get a lot of air movement until you get in the imperfection areas where stuff ain't right. So over here beside the seat, between the wall of the vehicle and the seat, tons of air moves through there because there's a sub behind the seat, right? That sub behind the seat is getting all of its action in the back of the seat and then around the seat. So it just moving over like this will cause the hair to fly. So it's really crazy. I can see you can have somebody in the passenger window doing big old hair tricks and somebody sitting in the passenger seat and their hair is just sitting there. And it's because of the way the air moves around in the vehicle. Bread slaps only. C-Max all the way. Ain't nothing wrong with C-Max. It's just I don't enjoy the safety factor of C-Max. And for most people, it's like this. If you know how to build and run C-Max safely, then that's what you're going to do. And that's fine. If you want to run a 16-volt system and you want to go to that extreme and you want to run that way, that's totally fine. The problem I have with C-Max is whenever somebody who has been in it for a long time and been messing with it for a long time says, here, take this C-Max and put it in your vehicle. And this person doesn't have a clue what's going on. That's how bad shit happens. Okay? A lot of bad shit can happen real fast. But if that's that same person who doesn't have a clue and hand them a trunk donor Lithium 5K and say, put this in your vehicle, it's going to work. It's not going to catch on fire. It's not going to do crazy shit. It's going to work. And it's going to work for anybody, whether they've been in it for a long time or whether they're just getting started. And I like stuff that I don't have to worry about. I don't want to hand someone a gun with it might blow up. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give somebody something that's not going to be safe no matter what. That's why I do what I do. So that's how I feel about C-Max. I don't have a problem with it. It's just not suitable for a lot of things. It has a specific use. No shame in lower shelf gear. Exactly. And that's why I'm running what I run, because I want you guys to know that you don't have to go out there and spend $1,500 on a sub to do really cool stuff and to get loud and have fun. You can go much more budget and still do crazy stuff. It's a whole lot of it is in getting the power right in your vehicle, getting your enclosure right, getting everything else right. Until you've done that, going crazy on a super expensive subwoofer is not going to help you very much. You've got to do all the other stuff first. Kenneth said, I want to replace my amp backplate with plexi on the logo and the logo for Trunk Donor Lithium. Damn Skippy, dude. You might be able to, I don't know, you might be able to do something like order it. Yeah, I know you can order flags. I order flags like this one back here This is just off Amazon. I ordered it. I sent them the logo, and they made this. I've got a bunch of them. I've got a Trunk Thunder Lithium flag over there. You guys have seen them all. Uh, so there may be a company out there that can do that. I know that GP can do it. If you call them up, can do the burn in logos and stuff. It's probably going to cost you. Uh, if you can find a service online, that'd be the choice. Or if you've got your own machine to do your own engraving, that's even better. But I don't have one. I do have friends that do though. But yeah, that'd be really cool. I will say this though: whatever you end up doing, using the acrylic, use a thicker acrylic than you think you need to. You're always going to be happy with thicker acrylic, but you're not going to necessarily going to be happy with thin stuff. It'll look really thin stuff's going to look bad. The screws will like put dents in it and cause it to warp in all these weird ways, and it just won't look good. Go with some thick stuff, and it's going to be expensive. It is what it is. Um, Brandon said he reached out to. So yeah, that's one possibility. Yeah, they do that kind of stuff. Absolutely. That'd be a good choice. I don't know how much they would charge you for it. You might find a cheaper space. You might not. I don't know. But they will do good work. That place does really good work. Uh, Repping all day, brother. Hell yeah, man. I have no problem repping for somebody who takes care of me, and that's 100% why I mess with people I mess with. 100%. Let's see here. What's Red Pill talking about? I run batteries. Group 34 run my batteries. Okay. Group 34 AGM to Group 31 AGM to Trunk Thunder 5K V2. The truck is used daily. When I put the multimeter on the 5K V2 in the morning every week, 13.5. Yeah, it's not going to drop, dude. I mean, like I said, here's what will happen eventually. If it sets long enough and you drain it low enough, it'll eventually come down to the voltage that's the same as the AGM. And at that point, it's not going to drop anymore. The AGM and it are just going to sit together and be done. But it has to go down quite a ways before it ever gets to that point. So, covered that one already. Let's see. Bread slaps only have an AGM. So I have AGM battery, then a 50 amp hour, then a 50 amp hour C-Max. You're running the C-Max? Okay. With the AGM. Pulling all the power from the last bank. Well, you're not pulling all the power, but you're pulling most of the power from the last bank. It's gonna be the major. Well, you're going to pull more from the battery that's closest, and then you're going to pull a little bit less from the next battery, and even less from the next battery, so forth and so on. Electricity uh, does care about how far something is electrically from it. You could have the batteries all sitting beside it. It's a matter of how long the wires are. So if you shorten the wires, it's going to pull from the shorter wires to one to this one, then the longer wires going to this one. So electrically, the distance matters. And even if like it's 1 inch difference, say for instance, you got two batteries sitting side by side, and you got one positive cable that's 30 inches long, and you got another one that's 29 inches long. And after adding everything, there's a 1 inch difference. It will pull the majority of the power from the one with the shorter wire. It's very, yeah. This is why a lot of those audiophile guys will get so bent out of shape about making all their speaker wires the same exact length, which is completely insane. But yeah, that's the reason, is because electricity does behave that way, at least in DC. But the thing about speaker wires is that's AC, so it doesn't really care about distance. It does, but it takes a very big distance, like really big distance, to matter at all. So yeah, don't worry about your speaker wires. It's AC current. AC doesn't move this way. It's doing this, and it's going to be the same amount movement on this end as there is on this end because it's connected. It doesn't matter how long it is, it's still going to do the same thing. With DC, you've got to move power from here all the way through. So there's going to be resistance all the way through. And the longer it is, the more resistance. With AC, it's not going to matter because it's like a line of people. When you push on the guy in the back, the front guy moves. You know, it don't matter how long that line is, the same thing is going to happen. Um, Hopefully that made some sense. I get off on tangents. Uh, I'm not sure what I missed, man, but I'm just going to leave that one alone. I don't know what that is. He's talking about something. It's probably not what I think it is, but well, we'll leave it alone. Um, yeah, you won't. Um, he said, "I see absolutely zero voltage drop on the 5K on a single sundown." Yeah, you're not, man. I don't care what I do to my 10K version one. I don't care what I do. I can crank. I can do all kinds of crazy and dropping tones and everything. That sucker gets down to about 13 volts and it literally stops. It don't matter how much I'm torturing it; it just won't go any further than that. And anybody, I had EXO in there, and I told him watch the voltage, and he was sitting there going, "Wow!" I was like, and I'm sitting there letting it rip, you know, when it just and it sits right there, and he was really impressed with it. Everybody that's been in that thing is impressed with how well it holds voltage. It's just bonkers. Um, Stu, what's up, Stu? Stu said, "Good evening." Play it and live it made it in the house. What's up, play it and live it? You're, just a little bit, not too late, man. Just maybe an hour or so. Brandon, oh, I've been peeking at I've been peeking at it. I've been peeking at it, like I said, if you follow Brandon on Facebook, he's working on a DeVille. He's doing crazy things in that DeVille. It's going to be a nuts. So yeah, he's a Cadillac guy. And holy crap. Man, I almost died. Yeah, I know. It's good stuff. Let's see here. I don't know how I pulled it off. Pure luck, but my sixth order is disgusting. I'm blowing hair back on barely 2,000 watts. Exactly. On two MSV615s. Well, them are some nasty. They got a lot of cone movement. That's a lot of cone. That's a lot of travel. So those subs have got a lot of motor force and they have a lot of excursion. And if you've got everything just right, you got your port just right, if you got everything just right and it's the right shape and everything is right, you can get a lot of wind out of that, depending on everything. So you got some good subs. It don't take a lot of power as long as you can move the subs on the frequency to the full length of their movement on the frequency they're playing, then you're golden. It don't matter. You can throw more power at it. You're not going to gain anything because you're already at the end of what the subs are going to do. Running full power doesn't always get you full. You might, I might be able to run half power and do like a 48 and then go full power and do a 49. It's, you're going to get a whole lot out of the right build, and power is secondary. Power is actually the last thing that's going to gain you something. Where your gains are going to be happening is from the right equipment, the right enclosure, built the right way, installed the right way, good power, good consistent power that keeps that voltage high so you're not pulling stupid amps through your wires. All of that stuff is going to matter more than how much maximum power you can feed into the subs. You're going to gain so much more by doing all that. And then whenever you double and triple your power, you're going to gain a little bit at the top. So yeah. For example, Sundown Unofficial was testing on the Blazer, the pink Blazer, He was testing a Sundown, oh, a SFB amp, I believe it was. Um, I want to say it was like 1,000 watt amp or something. And at less than 1,000 watts, he was doing, 60s. He was up in the 60s in that thing on two subs, two Sundown U's. But that build was designed to play at like 60 hertz or 70 hertz or some crazy shit. And it's like a 50-to-1 ratio, um, fourth order that plays one note. But the point is, um, he does up around 70 maxed out at, whatever watts he's running, which is crazy amounts. But even on tiny amount of power, he's still able to do up in the 60s because of the build. It isn't about the power, it's about the box and the build. Uh, that's where it's at. That's where it's all at. Um, so yeah, it means you built the box right. It means you got everything right, and that's awesome. Uh, CAE 615 and a 6 is going to be windy as windy as fuck, like Jerry ain't loud. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going for the same exact thing that he is. I'm going for low lows and lots and lots and lots of wind. So since we are both going looking at the same goal down the road, we're going to get there basically the same way. Uh, Except Jerry's able to. Well, I don't know. He's just about as broken down as I am. Um, his body don't work all that good either. But Deb gets in there and helps him. I have one of them too, but mine's I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna see things happen. It's coming, guys. It's coming. Uh, I got I got to wait on the rest of the components, and then we'll be doing things. So I'm looking at the next few weeks. Things are going to start to snap into place, and we're going to get started. And I'm really really close to being decided what I'm going to do. I'm really close, and it's probably going to be a sixth order, 3 8Ks. Let's see here. Stu said, same way I think about those cheap Android radios. Those things are hit and miss, and I'm gonna tell you, they're hit and miss. I've had, I'd say you got about a 50-50 chance of getting a decent one. Um, but there's always little shit. Like the thing may do its thing good, right? It may not blow up. The screen may be nice, and a lot of times the screen will be crap, flimsy, plasticky stuff, and it breaks with some bass. Um, if you get past that, like say it's got a good glass screen, a good Gorilla Glass, like a phone, Gorilla Glass screen, and it's a solidly built thing, and then you get past the fact that it's also got a good processor and enough RAM to make the thing operate where it's not like gravy molasses slow. That's another thing you run into. They don't put enough components in there to give it speed, so it's laggy. If you get past that, um, then you get down to the software, and a lot of times software compatibility with other things can get sketchy. Like you may have a phone that uses Bluetooth 4.0, and the radio is topped out at like 3.0. It hasn't been updated, and then the software will give you reduced performance, or it'll do weird shit when you try to connect to it with a USB drive. It won't recognize it or crap like that. All that stuff, and iron all that out, and then you got a good setup. What you get when you buy like a Kenwood, JVC, Sony, you're going to get equipment that's designed to run the software that's on it properly. Uh, higher grade components, more consistency. Uh, you're going to get up to date firmware and up to date software. So everything is going to run smoothly and a better operating system, easier to use controls, stuff like getting your steering wheel controls to work better. A lot of times the China Androids will have a hell of a time connecting to the steering wheel controls in a vehicle. Like you may not ever get that to work. Shit like that. All of those little things are the things that are really different. But you can get a decent stereo from Alibaba. You're just taking a risk on what stuff you're going to compromise on and whether or not you're going to get something that is saying that it's going to be, whether you're going to get that. So you may end up trying to save money. You may end up spending it multiple times and end up spending a whole lot more than you would have had you just bought a good system to start with. So there's my dollar and a 10 cents about that, Stu. So lithium is great. Sodium's here, but sodium is not perfect. And I know a little bit about sodium, but I don't know enough about it to really speak a whole lot on it without stepping on my own dick. Okay, so sodium. Yeah, Brandon might chime in. I'll let Brandon have that one if he chimes in, and he might. Uh, Bread slaps only. Yeah, I get you. From what I understand, the problem with C-Max is people don't compress them. That's one of the problems. Or let them go dead. That's another one. Where you run into fire problems. Yeah. It's just not knowing what the hell you're doing. You're handing someone a Ferrari who hasn't driven a Volkswagen. You know what I'm saying? And you get that Ford Mustang problem. You get that Hellcat problem. That's it's not the right thing. It just doesn't fit in that category. I'm no expert on C-Max. I just love the system. Yeah, feel you, brother. Uh, let's see here. Maples Gamers is just tuned in. Oh, I was watching. Reminded me of the fact that you have gamer in your name. I was watching a video earlier on a game called Corridor. Look that shit up. That's a messed up game, dude. That's all I'm gonna tell you. It's messed up. Corridor. Like a hallway. Look that shit up. Funny as hell. The new Slapz. Sir, there's all sorts of things. We got a new discount line that's coming. That's going to be 1500 watts RMS, 10s, 12s, and 15s. And the Oblivions are going to a version 2 with bigger motors, more higher BL, more motor force. So why is that important? Well. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to take it. I'm going to dig into that. It's not a question, but I'm going to dig in anyway. Why is motor force important? When you're building a box. So let's dive into this. Let's dive into this enclosure thing a little bit. And I'm not going to be teaching you how to build a box, but I'm going to talk about a little bit about theory. Okay. And the thing I like about theory is you can teach someone facts, right? You can teach someone that frogs are able to jump 1 foot. And then you can go, okay, well, I know that frogs can only jump 1 foot. Though if he jumped 1.5 feet, then something else happened, right? That's a fact, right? But it's a wrong fact. But I'm just saying, this equals this is a fact. Theory is different. Theory is understanding why and how the frog jumps and why and what would change the length of distance. The understanding the thing, not just knowing a fact about the thing. That's where theory comes in. And I respect theory a whole lot more than learning a list of facts. Because you can build on theory. You can't build on facts. Facts are just facts. So, box building theory. So, a few things come into play. Actually, for a really good box builder, literally everything in the till small perimeters matters. But we're going to talk about a couple of them. So, the first one I'm going to talk about is a QTC. The QTC is the result, is the Q that you have left whenever you put a sub in a box. So ideally, you want the sub, once it's put in the box, to give you a QTC of around 0.707. So if your sub has QTS of like 0.404, then when you build that box, you've got to build it with increasing the QTC, the final Q, up to 0.707. So a sub that has a 0.404 QTS and then a sub that has a 0.350 QTS are not going to do the same thing in a box, in the same box. Changing those two out, you're going to get different things happening because your QTC, your end Q, is going to be different. One thing that can happen is the one with the lower Q could end up playing a little bit frequencies, the low frequencies a little bit better, but not handling power as well. So forth and so on. But it's going to be different because of the Q. It's like a bell. So the ring. So understanding the mechanical Q, the electrical Q, the final Q, which is a QMS and the QES. The QES is your electrical Q. The QMS is the mechanical Q. The QTS, did I say that right before? Yeah, I did. Is the combination of those two. And then the QTC is the Q once you put the sub in the box. All of that matters. That's one thing. Another thing is motor force. Higher motor force allows the sub to move more fluidly through compression of air. So if you put a sub with a high motor force in a smaller enclosure, it would still be able to give you the X max that it's wanting to give. Whereas if you put a similar sub with much less motor force in that similar small enclosure, it may have trouble playing the lows as well because it won't be able to compress the air as much. It does not have as much motor force. On the other hand, if you have a sub enclosure, those same two subs, and you have a bigger enclosure, one that's the size of that's to fit that lower motor force sub, it's going to play the lows just fine if you put it in an enclosure that's fit for it. But when they go to getting into crazy stuff, you're going to run out of airspace. So like putting 615s in this Tahoe, I'm having to really struggle with airspace. So having more motor force allows the sub to play effectively in tighter enclosures. So these are just some of the elements that come into play. There's so much stuff. A good box designer is someone who has done a lot of learning. And it's not as simple as just building the box and putting a sub in it, unless you just get lucky. Anyway, way off in left field. Path of least resistance, Stu said. Yes. Bobby's actually hanging out. Yeah, he was hanging out with the wife, man. He's keeping himself out of trouble there. Keeping that. So there's only two types of guys. There's guys that are right. And then there's guys that are married. So because if you're married, you're not right. You don't get to be right anymore. Once you get married, you're wrong all the time. And if you ever think you're right, then you're probably about to get a divorce. Bobby V. Yeah, make sure to slam it. Slam it, baby. Slam that thumbs up. Y'all give me some like action. I love it. PCs and tech. Let's see. I guess one Marlboro per light. Make him go without. I hadn't smoked a Marlboro in years, man. They want like $5 a pack for them damn things. I just ain't about it, man. I can't taste the difference anymore anyway. I can't smell anything. I went in for an operation years back, and when I come out of that operation, all I could smell was copper, and just a really strong smell of copper. And after about 6 months of that, all of a sudden one day the copper smell went away, and I couldn't smell anything. I think it was something to do with the anesthesia they used or something, because when I come out of that operating room and I woke up, I smelled it, from that point on, my smell was broke. I can't smell anything. And when I say I have no sense of smell, dude, I could stick my head in a bucket of crap and not know that there was crap in that bucket. Like there's no smell whatsoever. Um, no smell. Let's see. CAU is very close. Yes, I am. I am extremely close. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping I hit 100,000 before the end of the year, but it's not looking like it's going to happen. We're going to be pushing. You guys say you hit slam that subscribe button. Please do. Bobby B said, I'm getting ready to cut some ABS. Oh, yeah. You showed me that sheet that you got. Yeah. For the amp rack. Those NSV 615s are nasty. Yeah, no doubt. Diet Coke. One Diet Coke for light. Yeah, that's what's in this thing right here, guys. Y'all see, I got two of these. I have one that's silver and don't have a handle, and it holds one can. This one will hold about a can and 3/4. It'll hold two without ice. And that's what's in it. It's either going to have Diet Coke or sweet tea all the time. What's up, man? What's up, brother? We got to get that man some sweet tea. Oh, I do rock sweet tea. I like that cheap stuff too. Huh, look at there. Andy's in the house. What's up, Andy? Yeah, we're chilling, man. When are you coming back? I want to know when you're coming back to Fridays. I know it's going to be soon. Bread Slapz, what do you think about the sound cubed amps? I don't have any opinion on them. I haven't used them, so I can't really. I would just be throwing words at the wall, and I don't like doing that. Um, let's see here. Red Pill popped in. Yeah, you know what, Andy? If Andy's still in the room, let's throw it out there.
Crushing on these tacos, we buy the fiesta. Guac on the side, man, you know it's the best. Lettuce and salsa, stack it high, make it pop. Crunch in my mouth, can't stop, won't drop. Sliver scissor in, flavors cold is so sweet. After one taco, I'm in for a repeat. Bite after bite, got me dancing in my seat. Hitting up the taqueria, can't face defeat. Taco love in every single bite. Feeling good, every feast all night.
I love the tacos, man. The tacos are good. That was for Andy, just because he showed up. Let's see here. What did I miss? I know I missed some stuff. Getting ready. Oh, we got it. What do you think about? I don't know. Diet Coke. Okay, I'm caught back up now, I think. Yeah, I got really messed up. Red Pill said, vehicle's important too. Don't make me buy a 90 Chevy Astro van. Pull it up with $1,500 with one $1,500 recoil sub. Yeah, Astro van, the Honda CRV. That's probably the king of doing nasty things with little. If you see a Honda, a CRV, and competing, and it's in your class, just go home. Or instead of looking at the first place trophy, look at the second place trophy. It's going to smash you, most likely. You could put a Bluetooth speaker in a Honda CRV and do 150s. Let's see here. What are we doing here? Okay, here we go. Had to. It's Friday night El Fuego, doing some late night testing with Cookie right now. Oh, no. Yeah, I get in trouble for that. My neighbor would, I don't know, he probably wouldn't say nothing, but he'd be giving me dirty looks on the other side of the wall. And I got a really cool neighbor, so I try to treat him right, man. I don't do any cutting up. He's been really cool with me. Let's see here. Brad says I use a whatever the hell that word is, FIIO DAP optical right into my Moscone. I know that word. 830 Pro, done deal. Hell yeah, dude. I Bluetooth from my tablet into my DSP. I ain't tripping on the Toss link, the Toshiba link. Um, but yeah, that's how I do it. That's been working really good, really good. Pods. Be here on Monday. Oh, awesome, man. I use a screwdriver on gain and hope for the best. My tower amps. Yeah. My truck is worth less than a Pro 830. What's up, Stu? Coupon code CAE. Yeah, I get paid from them once a month. They send me whatever I get. So yeah, customspeakerpods.com. uh, if you guys are looking for speaker pods, and I'm gonna tell you, if you're not trying to build crazy doors and you just want to add some more stuff to your doors or be able to change, a lot of times being able to change speakers out in the doors are a pain because you got to pull the door cards off and do all this stuff. By adding customspeakerpods.com to your doors, now you can mount the speakers from the outside. So it's just a matter of going zip, 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 zipping them, pulling it right out, popping another one in. It's very cool. And if they had a pod the size that I wanted them to run, I would still be running custom speaker pods. I built my own because I wanted a specific size in the door that they did not have. But I still run the ones on my A pillars. I love them. CustomSpeakerPods.com. A pillars and doors, easy to install, and they work great. I've had 100% great luck with them. The people are amazing. And if you use discount code CAE, you save 10% off anything in your cart from CustomSpeakerPods.com. They do sell amps and subs there too, and speakers. Just throwing that out there. Discount code CAE. Summer is over. Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to say, man, but he ain't. He's not responding. Doc, shock him again. He's not responding. You guys are awesome. Bunch of great people, man. Best money I ever spent on the amplifier. That Moscone, yeah. I really, I mean, just being real. Just being real. This amplifier right here is $100. That's a 4-channel amplifier. It has no right to be $100 amplifier. That little 160 by 4 is solid. And I've got one mounted underneath my 2K. It's trapped inside of a tiny space on my amp wall in my Tahoe. It's trapped in there. It has like no airflow. Like, really? It's buried under another thing that's hot. And I've never had any of them cut off. And has like a non-existent noise on the floor. It's super clean. One of the things I've noticed about amps that don't really quite stack up is the above about 15,000 hertz, you start getting little distortion and little harmonics that come in. And you won't notice those in most songs, but in some songs you will. And those amps, and there's a whole lot of them out there that fall into this category. Anything over about 15,000 hertz, they start getting fuzzy. And you don't exactly know what it is that you're hearing that don't sound right, but you know it don't sound right. And you may not even realize that your amp is doing that until you hear an amp that doesn't do it. When you hear an amp that has truly has extremely low harmonic distortion. And the high frequencies, when you hear that the first time, it will melt your brain at how good it sounds, and you won't understand why it sounds so much better than this other amp. It's because of the THD. A lot of amps will advertise a low THD, but there's perimeters around that. If you have this and you're at this power level and this and the sun is shining from this direction and all that stuff, you can get this really low THD. But we live up here, and so you're going to get a lot of distortion. When you have an amp that provides a really clean top end and actually doesn't have any distortion, at the moment that you hear that, then you know what you've been missing. And you don't recognize why, but you definitely hear it. That's the biggest complaint I have is the noise floor of a lot of amplifiers and the 15K and up THD that I get out of them. This little dude right here has a really good THD at the top level. Really impressed with it. It stays nice and clean, and I don't care what name is on it. It can say Slapz, it can say Bob, it can say Moscone, it can say whatever. That little amplifier produces a clean ass signal all the way up to 20K. It makes its power, it don't shut off, and it don't care. It just works every damn time. Whatever name is on it, but that one's $100, $90 if you use my discount code. So just telling you the way it is, I would build a system out of 100 of those things, no problem. Let's see here. Dubby from down under. Dubby. What's up, man? Glad you made it. El Fuego. It'll play on words. Gotta duck out, everyone. Have a great evening. You too, El Fuego. Glad you showed up. Glad you hung out with us. Let's see here. Broad Slap said, I have an American based XFL 15. Good sub. I want to build a box, but I'm debating on what kind of box. That sub for a Dodge Charger. Oh, good Lord. A Dodge Charger and a 15? You might consider building a box. I'm trying to picture it in my head. You might consider building a box that has a port on top to fire through the package tray. I can't remember if there's a ski hole in the back seat of that car. You could also fire the port through that. So, yeah, you could, if there's a ski hole in the seat, you could build it so that the box port fires through that, then fire the speaker towards the back of the trunk, and then have an opening in the package tray to allow sound to come through from the trunk area. I think you'd get a pretty good effect from that. You would end up getting something that would be kind of like a parallel sixth order, which that would be a huge box. But if you actually built a parallel sixth order and then had it to where both ports fired into the package tray and had openings in the package tray to allow both chambers to play in, that would be solid in there. But it would be a big ass box. That'd be the things I'd be looking at, trying to figure out a way to do that. Hopefully I gave you some ideas. 56 hertz. Yeah, if you're wanting to hit up that way, it's parallel. Look into a parallel sixth. If you have a way to get those two ports into the cabin, that'd be pretty cool. Stu said firing forward through the seat. The only time, here's the catch when you do a seat firing sub. If you're going that route, if you're going to have a sub firing into the cab, like where the back of the seat is, you have to seal off the front of that box from the cab. If you're going to have, let me play this again. If you're going to have a sub or a port or a combination of those firing into the cab in the back of the back seat where your back is, right? Firing in, you have to seal that off from the trunk, or you're going to have all manner of issues with it. And you'll gain a lot more power, a lot more force, a lot more impact, a lot more clarity, a lot more of everything that you want if you do that. That said, the same would go for doing a parallel six, where you have a port firing in the back dash over here and one firing in the back dash over here. You'd want to have the rest of that trunk sealed off. Well, since the trunk may already be sealed off, that's usually not too hard. You just got to get in there and put some sound deadening and get the little holes closed up. You don't want anything getting behind that on the back side of it. So, yeah, those are a couple ideas. Port rear, yeah, that's going to create a mess. Trunks are weird, man. I mean, you can do it, you can do that, but you're gonna, it's not, it'll get loud pretty good, but it's not going to sound clean. If you just have the sub in there and you pour it in the corner and you fire it and you just let it, the bass get up there the best it can, it's going to do okay, but you're not going to get the clean crispness out of it that you would if you went one of those other routes. Mr. J, what's up, man? Let's see here. Do you really need 31 bands VQ? Can you get by with less? Well, you can get away with less, but the more bands you have, the more fine adjustments you can make. And think of it like driving a car, but the steering wheel clicks when you turn it. It has clicks. It doesn't stay in between them. You either get this position or this position or this position or this position. And you're trying to keep the car in the lane going down the road. Something happens, click, it's a little bit too far, okay? A little bit too far, it's wanting to cross the line, you got to jump back, okay, it's coming back. It's like trying to fly a plane in a game using a keyboard. There's no finesse. You either turning too far this way or not enough. You can't find that middle ground. You're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The same thing when you're trying to set up an equalizer. The more bands you have, the more minute adjustments you can make, and the more accurate you can get your final tune. That said, you can get by with less bands. But I always, anytime I have less than 32 bands or 31 bands, I almost always run into a situation where I need another slider here to fix this frequency, but I'm using the ones on both sides. I don't have enough. So then I have to make a compromise and adjust something else a little bit off so that I can catch the two, and I have to compromise. So it's not perfect. So yes and no. Hopefully that explained what I was trying to explain. You play the driving game on a PlayStation where you're steering with buttons. You can never get the car to drift where you want it. It's either going like this, and you're going back and forth, and the tires are going like this, and then back and forth and back and forth. So annoying. That's the same concept. I know some of you guys are familiar with this shit I'm talking about. I know. Wall riding, man. You got to ride them walls. I was already thinking that. Yeah, you can do that too. But yeah, you got to seal it up, man. Whatever you do, you want the thing that's making the sound to have direct access to your cabin, and you want to seal up everything else so that nothing goes backwards. The same way you would a door speaker. You want it to have access to the cabin, but seal it up so that no sound waves get around behind that speaker. It's the same concept. It's popping up. Bobby B's over here sending me stuff. Ha, Bobby. I don't know what he's got. Should I look? No, I shouldn't look right now. It's probably going to get me in trouble. Uh-oh. Hold a minute. Wait a minute. Andy's in the house. Dropping the tacos, baby.
Crushing on these tacos, we buy the fiesta. Guac on the side, man, you know it's the best. Lettuce and salsa, stack it high, make it pop. Crunch in my mouth, can't stop, won't drop. Sliver in, flavors cold is so sweet. After one taco, I'm in for a repeat. Bite after bite, got me dancing in my seat. Hitting up the taqueria, can't face defeat. Taco love in every single bite. Feeling good every feast all night.
Thank you so much, Andy, man. You're awesome. A good taco is always a good thing to have laying around. Let's see here. Appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it. You guys, if you haven't, I know most of you guys are very familiar with Living Out with Andy, but if you're not, you need to get on the YouTubes there and look up Living Out with Andy or click on his thing. I think you can do it that way too. Get over there and catch his shows. He does a show on Tuesdays and usually on Fridays. But right now he's slacking the summer, so I'm covering his Friday spot. But he does a Tuesday show following Kicker, doing a Living Loud with Kicker, and then he does a show following their show, and he gives away stuff. So it's always good. Andy's got a great show. Y'all get over there and check him out. Let's see here. Mr. J, no, you need a 31 band. Yep. Yep, I agree with that. Stu said 5 to 7 band parametric. No, I like parametric because you can move the bands around, but I need more than that. That's not going to get it for me. Not at all. But parametric does help with the lack of bands because you can move the ones you have around. That does help, but see, you don't need much. 10 band and mid bass. Let's see here. Just popped up on my phone. Didn't say it was live. What's up, man? Glad you can make it. And I'm glad we popped up. I always like popping. Popping is good. Nice you to join us. All right, let's see. Wish could see you on your team down at Trucking in the Valley tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we have a show here in town, so it definitely ain't going to happen. But I don't travel a whole lot. I can't travel a whole lot. It's for lots of reasons. But I'm considering if things go right, a whole lot of stuff goes right. I'm going to try to make the what's it called? Dadgummit, the October show in Arkansas, Wake the Dead. I'm going to try to make that if everything else goes right, and I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. And who knows? I might try to hit Slam next year because it's huge, and I have a problem with big crowds, and so that's a thing. And it's also a very long ways away, but it's a huge show. So we'll see. I don't know, but I may do Wake the Dead this year. Let's see. Tyler says the sun is shining from this direction. Exactly. And I'm going to tell you, amplifiers will do that. It was like, we got this 0.002 or 1 total harmonic distortion. But what you don't realize is the way they test it and what the parameters are to get that low distortion. The fact is, whenever you put the thing in and start playing it, you ain't going to be using those parameters, and you're not going to get that THD. You're going to get something that's way outside of that. That's just how it works. The amps that do provide that kind of a THD in realistic use are ones you will remember. You'll remember them. You might plug in your extremely high quality, high end, expensive amplifier and go, that sounds great because you just spent, $3,000 on it. Then after a little bit, you're going, man, I don't know, man. That piece of crap from 1990 that had rusty screws in it and stuff actually sounded better than this one does. Why is that? You may not ever mention it to anybody. You may not ever tell anybody that because you just spent $3,000 on this damn thing and you're going to freaking praise it, right? But in your mind, you're thinking this piece of shit with the tape holding the back on, all scraped up because I ran over it with the lawnmower, sounded better than this thing does. That's because it was a better amplifier. It's just that simple, man. I call it like I see it, dude. I mean, there's no sense in bullshit. A lot of the stuff from the 90s, it was hit and miss. It was random stuff that one manufacturer would make that was just really good. And nobody really noticed that this specific model was really good. Again, these are subtle things that average people don't even really notice until they compare it to something else. You get in a really good car that's really right and done right, and you go, oh, wow. So what part of that makes it sound so good? Well, mostly it's the install, but also that amplifier, not that company that makes that amplifier, but not even that model. But that amplifier is a huge thing. You may have some inconsistencies from unit to unit, but when you find one that sounds great, it's going to sound great. That doesn't mean that another one just like it's also going to sound great. It usually does. But there's some really good freaking stuff, but it's not always going to be what you think it is. 830 Pro. I'll give one of the 830 Pro. Yeah. Trunk 210K. I have not yet, but I'm running the version 1, and I basically take a sledgehammer to it every single time I get in the Tahoe. So, yeah. It's got some age on it, and it's still doing the job. T. Corley. I'm glad you could make it, Lewis, though. Nice to see you. This weekend, I'm probably going to order the 160.4. You won't be disappointed in that amplifier. That amp is stellar, dude. It's a really good amp, and it's tiny. Oh yeah, trunk life for the win. W said. I always like my trunk builds. The bass in the trunk is always a little softer, but I like my trunk builds. Let's see here. W winning for the win. And the tacos, baby. Hell yeah. T. Corley said, I'm going to try. I don't know. Try to be at the Wake the Dead. Yes. If all works out, it's a state thing for me. I know a lot of people are going. What I like about it is it's a big show when they have a night shows. I want to see all those cool RGB lights, man. That's one of the reasons I want to go. And I like Halloween themed shit anyway. Anything that's around Halloween, I'm down with that. I mean, y'all know I got a skeleton sitting over here on a subwoofer and a Jason mask on the shelf or whatever. This is the kind of stuff I dig, man. Some people like Marshall. Some prefer Fender. Nothing wrong with either. It's a tonal preference. Well, and that's true. But the thing is, you're looking at Marshall, Fender, you're looking at guitar amplifiers and PA equipment. That stuff is designed to create with, okay? So when you like a certain sound, it's because you like that sound, but that is a creative experience. When you're talking about car audio or home audio or stuff, you're talking about reproducing a sound. So when you're creating, the sound can sound like anything. So one of the a lot of early guys used to punch holes in speakers to make them sound a certain way. They would literally punch holes in the cones to get a certain sound out of it. And that was recorded And then whenever you play it back, of course you play it back on the speaker that works normally, because you're reproducing what they originally did. You're not creating a new thing. So while what you're saying is accurate, it's not a direct comparison. What you're looking for is something that reproduces the sound accurately to your ear. Of course, everybody's going to tune a little differently because their ear likes certain things more. It may be that they just prefer more low end, or they may prefer more mids, but also may be that your brain and your ear and the way your body works just handles sound frequencies a little differently. So a tune for you might not be perfect for somebody else. This is why people will use a neutral device like an RTA to visualize what they're doing, because their ear will tell them they need a little more of this, but somebody else's ear will say, no, you don't. But when you use an RTA to tune with, you can get a frequency response range that's going to be more comfortable for everybody to listen to, not just you. That's why all of that stuff exists. And also to help you. Sometimes when your ears are tired, they hear things wrong. You start taxing your ears and the sounds just won't. It gets to where you can't hear anymore, and you have to stop trying to tune at that point. You got too much fatigue going on. Don't get me wrong, not defending the high price amp. Yep, everything. A lot of equipment at that price point. Oh, and I agree, dude. I'm not dumping on anything like that. I'm just saying that it isn't always obvious what's going to be great. I mean, you have a better chance with certain brands. You're more likely to get something that's going to be clean, but it isn't necessarily always going to happen. So, sometimes the really inexpensive stuff just is great. It just happens. Yep. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all for stopping in tonight, but like El Fuego said earlier, it's about that time. So y'all slam that subscribe button, come back over, check out Andy's channel, and check out Slapz Audio, pick up some new subwoofers whenever they hit, and Trunked Under Lithium. And now we're going to get the duck out of here, baby.
Subwoofers are getting loud, you can feel the booming sound. Getting ready to go, got it shined up for the show. Power's charging, amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home, another one bites the dust. Wires are glowing and the amps smoking, subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming, gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go, 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice cords are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust.